It's another Sunday, and we're glad to come your way once again with the Homeowners Show right here on Metro TV. How 7 days fast and how fast it flies. Thanks for joining us again here. And once again, we have something to talk about, the building construction industry. And this is where you get to find out everything about this space and also get to have your questions answered. And you also find ways and means where you can also get a roof over your head. That is our concern. That is our motive, that at the end of the day, each and everyone finds something useful from this program to make it beneficial as far as getting a roof over your head is concerned. Well, I'm glad that I'm going to be sitting in the seat for the next 1 hour or so, and we'll be talking about a very heavy topic for today. It is something that I know that a lot want to hear about. I'll be introducing that to you in a second, but first of all, we want to go for a very quick break, and when we come back, I introduce the topic and our guest for today. Stay with us.
As we get older, we want to start achieving our goals, whether it is to pay for home improvements, fund a passionate side gig, expand your business, fund retirement, travel, or to help a family member onto the property ladder. Equity release is a way of releasing part of the value of your home without ever having to move out to help you accomplish those dreams. So how does equity release work? Equity release is available to all homeowners. The money is released from your home in the form of cash that you can do whatever you like with. How much you can release depends mainly on your age and the value of your property. You can release equity in your existing home today by mortgaging a portion of your home, which is the most popular form of equity release, where you take out a loan against your home and continue living there. Equity release is a big decision, but finding the right bank could open doors to the things you've always dreamed of, whatever they may be. If you are considering releasing equity from your home, give First National Bank a call. In your initial consultation, you'll have the opportunity to ask any question you may have, and your advisor will help you find the best solution fit for you. First National Bank has helped many Ghanaians get on the property ladder. If you missed out on Yoho 2021, then you must take advantage of Build Up 2022. Give us a call on 0242 435 050 and 0800 770 522, or head over to any of our branches across the country and talk to one of our friendly home loans consultants. First National Bank, Bank of the Changeables. First National Bank. How can we help you?
Welcome back from the break, and if you just joined us, you're watching the Homeowners Show right here on Metro TV, and we come your way every Sunday at 3 p.m. Make sure that you get your calendars fixed on this particular day, your alerts, and you can always follow us for anything regarding building and construction industry and also trying to find a roof over your head. And as we find ourselves in the month of October, we want to add our voices to the breast cancer awareness. Now, we want each and every beautiful woman out there, and in fact, even men, to have their breasts screened or examined. We want you to live longer, and so this month being set aside as a pink month, as a month where we all make it a point, if not you yourself, make sure that a loved one goes to have some screening, mammogram, or just to have it examined, some screening of some sort, to make sure that you rule out any health risks or hazards. So we wish you all a very, very good and healthy life, and make sure that you always get yourself examined by the right professionals. Well, thanks for joining us. The Homeowner Show is proudly brought to you by the First National Bank Ghana. First National Bank, how can we help you? And also supported by CBC Properties Limited. CBC Properties, the home of your affordable and litigation-free lands and properties. And then Major Enterprise. If it's not quality, it's not major. Now, Sub-Saharan Fashion, great shirts reserved for men with integrity. And Business and Financial Times, Ghana's most authoritative business news source. And Construction TV Online, all the news from the building and construction industry. Thank you very much to all of you sponsors making this show possible. And we want to jump straight into the substance of the matter for today. What is it about? Now, this afternoon, I'm sure that you would have been expecting something else, something to do with it, but it has to do with the building construction industry taxes. Now, property tax is what we're going to talk about this afternoon. We've been doing other aspects of taxes, generally the tax law and several taxes that have to be paid by you and I to fuel or to oil the engine of government to make things really work. And today, it's property tax we're looking about. And as we know, property tax, also known as property rate, is the, if I may put it, the mandatory financial contributions collected by government based on the assessment of some landed property of some sort, building structure, real estate property. That amount which you have to pay as tax is determined by the estimate of the real estate property, the house you are renting out or the house that you live in, as basic as I can put it. But I'm sure that the experts probably will be able to put a lot more flesh on it. But basically that is what it is. And there have been calls all around for a more efficient way of taking taxes, and more so property tax. So to help us talk about this a bit more and to elucidate help elucidate a bit more this topic, or to make it more open to us, is a private legal practitioner joining us today, Victor Owusu Asante, and he is our guest this afternoon to help us peel this particular topic. So you're welcome to the studio, sir. It's great to have you here.
Thank you very much, Michael, for having me. It's also great to be appearing on your studios for this show. And
fantastic. It's great. Now, well, I mean, before we probably look at what is on the table for today, I don't know, probably you'd want to add a little bit of your voice to the advocacy that we all have come to know as a very noble thing. And so all of us have actually joined on board to create more the awareness of the breast cancer and the fact that we need to have the medical examination as frequently as possible. How important is it? Just maybe in a word or two, just to put in.
Okay, so I'll also add my voice to the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, being the month of October. So I'll encourage our mothers and our wives and our sisters to do well to get their breast screened for breast cancer, to make sure that they live a life free of breast cancer, or do their possible best so as to eliminate breast cancer to the barest minimum. Yeah.
Fantastic. And having said this, I mean, this also goes to show that frequent medical examination, checkups helps you and I to rule out any major problem that you may have, some underlying factors. If when earlier found, the better your chances of recovering, or the better you can be treated. So that's a word to you out there. So let's jump into our topic for today. Now, Victor, I mean, you are a private legal practitioner, but and I'm sure that you have a lot of insight about this particular topic. Probably give us a bit of a background, a history to this. When was this particular kind of tax, property tax, introduced? Maybe maybe let's limit ourselves to this country. When was it introduced, and how did it come into being? Who brought up the idea? And probably that may help us go a bit more into our conversation for this afternoon.
Okay, thank you very much, Mike. So when we say property tax or property rates, it came into being during the colonial era. Yeah, from the days of Gaggisberg throughout to the democratic dispensation since the attainment of independence. So this is something that has been with us since time immemorial. In fact, it's one of the oldest taxes you can ever see in Ghana. So it predates our current democratic dispensation. As I said earlier, it dates back to the colonial days, yes. So after our attainment of independence in 1957, the government of the day decided to consult the United Nations to develop a systematic model of property rating in the country. So the UN responded positively to this call, and in so doing, they brought about the model we call the replacement model of property rating. Yes. So this replacement model is a model that was designed to ensure equity in the rating system. So what it means is that in determining the rateable value of a property, they will consider the cost of replacing that property. So for instance, Metro TV premises, if you want to know the rateable value, they will consider the replacement cost. That's if you want to replace this property on a different land, on a new land, at the time of the assessment. So that's what we mean by the rateable value, or the rateable value vis-a-vis the replacement cost model. And this replacement cost model was also adopted in 1993 when we started our democratic dispensation, the Fourth Republic, in the Local Government Act 462. This Local Government Act also upheld the replacement cost model. So in so doing, they also carried on. And then currently, the new legal framework with respect to property rates or property tax is the Local Governance Act 2016, Act 936. So this act also encompasses the replacement cost model, as I explained earlier. So this is where we are in terms of property tax. Yeah.
Okay. Let me just ask a question as a layman, as somebody who probably hasn't been to school before. I mean, what really informs the decision, really? I mean, to tax somebody who probably has earned money, probably money that he has paid taxes on already, to put up a structure, put up a house that he's able to live in, struggle for several years, put up a house that he can live in, and then goes in and yet has to pay tax on this particular property of his. I'm saying, let me ask a question as somebody who probably hasn't been to school before and doesn't really understand how the tax system works. But it's a question that probably goes through the minds of a lot of people who probably have a difficulty in paying property tax.
Yeah, that is true, Michael. That's true. Paying taxes is not something pleasant for a lot of the citizenry. Yes, but with regards to property tax, I think the essence of property tax is that once your property or your structure is located within a particular district assembly, you owe it a duty to pay some tax to that particular district assembly, for that assembly to use it for developmental projects in the assembly. In fact, the new Local Governance Act, as I mentioned, Act 936 of 2016, mandates every specific MMDA to tax their people with regards to property rates so as to fund their expenditures. So basically, the essence of taxes with regards to property rates is to fund the expenditures of the various MMNDAs. Yeah, because once you live in that locality, definitely you'll be enjoying some amenities from that particular assembly. So I think it makes sense to also contribute to your quota to the development of that particular assembly. Yeah.
That is where we have a problem. You see, I asked this question, I mean, it sounded like a very funny, mundane question, but that is where we have a problem in this country, where people a lot of times have to take care of their own of the environment, so to speak. I mean, you go into certain areas where they even do drainage, they even do the roads, street lighting, they do lots of things on their own. And so you wonder whether there's any justification in collecting these taxes, which are supposed to really take care of these amenities, so-called amenities, which are non-existent in a lot of places. But that is the ideal situation. I mean, you are not the person to answer that. I'm sure that government representatives and those who really take the taxes should be the ones who should answer that. That is their responsibility. I won't burden you with that. But what is taxable under the property law of Ghana?
Okay, very well. So when anything that is a building or a structure or any immovable property, when we say immovable property, like a property that has been affixed on the ground, so anything of that sort is taxable under the property tax regime. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So as a property owner, is there any difference? Because I know that, well, first of all, maybe before we get to that, how is a building assessed, or how is assessed? I mean, you mentioned a little bit of that in your earlier submissions, but how is the value of a structure done, the assessment done, and for that matter, a certain percentage to be paid as tax to the authorities? How is it done by the authorities to be handed over to the property owner to pay?
So basically, the assessment of the particular property is done by a valuer, government valuer from the Lands Commission. So this valuer will value the property or the premises and determine what we call the rateable value. When he gets the rateable value, then he will give it to the municipal or metropolitan assembly in question. And when the MMDA in question gets this rateable value, they also determine what we call impost. The impost is calculated using the Ghana cedi, but it's converted into decimals. Okay. Yes, it's converted into decimals. When they get that decimal, then they'll then multiply it by the rateable value that have been previously assessed by or determined by the valuer from Lands Commission. So the multiplication of the impost and then the rateable value gives you the actual property rate for the particular premises.
I see. So there's a laid-down procedure. I mean, there's a formula, so to speak.
Yes, there's a formula, and this formula is enshrined in the law, in the Act.
Okay.
Yes. So it means nobody can assess your property based on his own whims and caprices. Yes, an inflated figure. Yes. Yeah. And even if it's inflated, there's a remedy in the law. Yeah. If you think the assessed value or the rateable value is inflated, there's a remedy in the law. Yeah, that you can challenge. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that you can challenge. So there's a committee set up in all the municipal and metropolitan assemblies that you can challenge the property rate or the value, and if the recommendation of that committee is not favorable to you, you can even go to court. You can appeal the decision of that committee to the High Court. So there's a remedy in the law. Yes. So it's not like once the Lands Commission or the Assembly comes out with the value, you have to take it hook, line, and sinker. They have remedies in the law that you can challenge this value. Yeah.
Yeah, and saying this because some people feel that they are unjustifiably charged, so to speak, because of the probably maybe the location of the structure, or probably how opulent the structure looks like. But that is something that can be settled at the municipal assemblies, just like you were saying.
Yeah, but just to add, Michael, when it comes to the calculation of the rateable value, the law provides that if the premises is being occupied by the owner, the rateable value should not be less than the 50% of the replacement cost of that property. Okay. But if in any other case, that value should not be more than 75%, sorry, more than 75% of the replacement cost of that property. So the formula for arriving at a particular property rate relative to a particular property too is also enshrined in the Act. Okay. Yes, in the law. Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, I was going to ask this much later, but I think probably maybe this is where I come in. So then, is there any difference in the kind of tax or the rate that I pay that as me as a property owner, that I pay for the house in which I live in myself, and probably that of another property I have which I am renting out. I'm saying renting out. There's a 3-bedroom house here and probably a 3-bedroom house over there that I live in, and then a 3-bedroom house I have somewhere that I am renting out. The property rate that I pay for the one I live in and the one that I rent out, is there any difference then? I mean, based on what question that you said?
There's quite a huge difference. Okay. Yeah, because as I mentioned earlier, once you're the owner of the premises, you live in that premises, the law says that the rateable value should not be more than 50%.
Okay.
Of the replacement cost of that property.
Okay,
should be more than 50% of replacement costs of that property. Okay. Yes, but in any other case, where you are not residing in that premises, then that cost should not be less than 75%. So what it means is that once you are renting it out, you are going to pay more rate for the one that you are, as compared to the one that you are living in. So property rates relative to commercial structures are more than residential structures. Yeah, that's what the law provides. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, what I'm renting out could be a residential structure, just like the one I live in, but as long as I'm renting it, renting it out.
Renting it, and you are not living there. That's the key word. So you could be renting it out, but you might be living there. Once you live there, it will still be lesser than when you are not living there. So if you are using it primarily for commercial purpose, it's going to be high. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You're watching the Homeowners Show, and proudly brought to you by First National Bank Ghana. First National Bank, how can you help you? We are talking property tax today, and I'm sure that a lot of you have questions really to answer. So you can log on to our social media handles. You can send in your questions via WhatsApp, through Instagram, Twitter, and you can get in YouTube and Facebook as well, and you can get your questions to come in or any contributions, and we'll be glad to answer them. The Homeowners Show is also supported by CBC Properties Limited, the home of your affordable and litigation-free lands and properties. Major enterprise, if it's not quality, it's not major, and sub-Saharan fashion. Great shirts reserved for men with integrity. Business and Financial Times, Ghana's most authoritative business news source, and Construction TV Online, all the news from the building construction industry. So we have in the studio today a private legal practitioner who is helping us dissect a few things on property tax. Mr. Victor Owusu-Asante is our guest today, and we've been trying to answer a few questions regarding the property tax. So if you have any questions that you really want answered, you can send them in via our social media handles, especially WhatsApp. And at the right time, we're going to open the phone lines, and you can ask him questions directly if you want to. All right, so let's see. Who has the sole responsibility for collecting property tax in our context? I mean, the sole responsibility. I mean, earlier you mentioned something about the municipal assembly and all that, but who has the sole responsibility for collecting property tax in our context, as in Ghana, so to speak? Yeah.
So when it comes to property tax, let me take it from the Constitution, the Constitution of Ghana, 1992. That's the primary law of the land. It mandates all the municipal, metropolitan, and district assemblies. It mandates Parliament of Ghana to determine the functions of all the MMDAs. Okay, and in so doing, some of the functions of the MMDAs are to collect taxes and levies. So Parliament, by passing the Local Governance Act of 2016, Act 936, has mandated the District Assembly as the only rating authority to collect property rate or property taxes in Ghana. That's even, when you read the law carefully, it states that it's contrary to any customary law. So if there is any customary law in a particular locality that mandates maybe a sub-chief or someone to collect any taxes, this law is saying that no, you don't have the right to collect property tax. So it's only the rating authority, which is the District Assembly or the Municipal Assembly or Metropolitan Assembly, that's mandated to collect this type of tax. Yeah.
Okay. So upon receiving notice of the rate to be paid, where would you advise that I go to make the payment?
Yes, so upon receiving the notice will specify the time, place, and manner in which you are supposed to make the payment. That's the property tax.
Okay.
Yes, and also it will specify the person to collect it, which is a rate collector, a licensed rate collector in the assembly. So that's where you have to make the payment. So the notice will spell out all these things. So if you're a property owner or a premises owner and you are giving the notice, you just have to read the notice carefully and make sure that you are doing the right thing and you pay the rate to the proper person within the and also, Michael, let me also add that any unauthorized person or any unscrupulous person would want to collect property tax, there is a punishment in the law. Yes.
Oh, okay.
There's a punishment relative to the act. The act says that if you are an unauthorized person and you collect property rate or property tax, you are liable upon summary conviction to a fine of between 125 penalty units to 250 penalty units. One penalty unit is 12 cedis. And also, you can be liable for imprisonment between 6 to 12 months or both. So either the fine, 125 to 250 penalty units, or 6 to 12 months imprisonment or both. Yeah, so this is also a caution to unscrupulous persons within the assemblies who want to collect property taxes when they are not authorized to do so.
That. Yeah, because you have all kinds of characters going from house to house asking for.
Yes.
Yeah, and would you advise that people pay to probably personnel who claim to be workers from the assembly? They come with some form of ID and all that. Would it still be safe to do payment out there? Because I have chanced upon a situation like that before, and I was wondering whether that is the way it should be done.
No, that's not the way, because such a person necessarily might not even have an invoice or receipt to be given to you after making payment. So you just have to follow the procedure in the notice. So you go to the assembly in question and you make payment to an authorized officer and you are given a receipt for that. Yeah, I think that would be more appropriate than to just give money to anybody. Anybody can just procure an ID card and come to you and say that I work with maybe Accra Metropolitan Assembly. Meanwhile, it doesn't work there. So I think it's safer to go to the assembly in question. You go into a recognized office with a proper setup, pursuant to the instructions in the notice of the rate that was given to you or that was affixed on your wall. Yeah, so I think that would be so.
Yeah, I mean, that is a bit of a digression, but it's something that people really need to watch out for. All kinds of characters appear at your gate. I'm from the ECG, I'm from this organization, I'm from this and that. And they have ID cards to show, and so you are compelled to open your gate to them. But you can never tell who these people could be. It could be criminals who probably could enter your premises and cause you even bodily harm. But let me ask you, Victor, what about with this rates, the property rate we're talking about? In the case of, let's say, a pensioner, somebody who's been on pension for several years, an old man, an old lady living in his or her house, doesn't have any source of income per se. I mean, we all know pension is nothing to write home about. You can barely survive on that. For somebody in a situation like that, does the law make any provision for, or maybe an excuse or concession, so to speak, for a person like that in such a situation so that he or she would not have to pay that amount? Because you could have the property all right, but you don't really have anyone that you're depending on for anything. You're a pensioner, you're about 75, 80 years, you don't have any source of income, save your pension. What does somebody like that do in a case like it? Does the law provide anything like that for, are there any provisions in the law like that for people like that?
Yes, Michael. So the law provides that persons who are 70 years and above, who are pensioners and who are unemployed, are exempted from paying. You see, we have two forms of the rates. You have the special rate and the basic rate. So that rate, the exemption is given to the rates that the person is supposed to pay in person. So it's not relative to the property.
Okay.
So that's the distinction. So you see, they used to call it lampo. Yes, that's what an individual living within the locality is supposed to pay. But the law provides that if you are 70 years and above, you are not required to pay that. But relative to the property rate, unless the law also provides that if for some reason you can't afford, yes, you can tell the rating authority based on cogent reasons that you can't afford. It shouldn't just be out of the blue and then you say that you cannot afford. It should be cogent. It should be cogent reasons enough.
So in that case, does a person like that have to place in an official letter, an application of some sort, stating those reasons why he or she cannot pay?
Yes, the person should write formally to the rating authority. That's after receiving the notice of the rates. The person can write formally to the rating authority or the assembly in question and then specify, giving cogent reasons why he is unable to pay. That's the only exception in the law. Yes. But as I explained earlier, the rate that the person was supposed to pay personally, that one has nothing to do with the property rates. The property rate is the rate charged on the property itself, the premises itself. Yes. So in a situation whereby they're required to pay a property rate and you don't have the means, that one you can write to the appropriate quarters and then specify the reasons why you cannot pay, and then they would have to look at it for you.
Okay, all right. So we're talking property tax here on the Homeowners Show this afternoon, and we have with us Victor Usa-Asante, a private legal practitioner, who's been helping us dissect some of the issues here. We want to go for our next major break. When we come back, we continue with the conversations. And if you have any questions, at a point in time, we're going to open the phone line so you can call in directly to place in your questions, or you can also get in your questions via our social media handles. The numbers for WhatsApp have been placed on your screen, and of course, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and the like, and you can contribute and join in on the show. We're going for a break. We'll be right back.
As we get older, we want to start achieving our goals, whether it is to pay for home improvements, fund a passionate side gig, expand your business, fund retirement, travel, or to help a family member onto the property ladder. Equity release is a way of releasing part of the value of your home without ever having to move out to help you accomplish those dreams. So how does equity release work? Equity release is available to all homeowners. The money is released from your home in the form of cash that you can do whatever you like with. How much you can release depends mainly on your age and the value of your property. You can release equity in your existing home today by mortgaging a portion of your home, which is the most popular form of equity release, where you take out a loan against your home and continue living there. Equity release is a big decision, but finding the right bank could open doors to the things you've always dreamed of, whatever they may be. If you are considering releasing equity from your home, give First National Bank a call. In your initial consultation, you'll have the opportunity to ask any question you may have, and your advisor will help you find the best solution fit for you. First National Bank has helped many Ghanaians get on the property ladder. If you missed out on Yoho 2021, then you must take advantage of Build Up 2022. Give us a call on 0242 435 050 and 0800 770 522, or head over to any of our branches across the country and talk to one of our friendly home loans consultants. First National Bank, Bank of the Changeables. First National Bank. How can we help you?
Welcome back from the break, and you're watching the Homeowners Show this Sunday afternoon. You just make sure that you join the Homeowners Show every Sunday at 3 p.m. as we bring you all the exciting and educative discussions on building construction industry in Ghana. You can pick up a few tips also as you try to get a roof over your head. Well, for sponsorship and partnership, you can call 0552 969 or 969-397, 0552-969-397 or 0543-908-978 for details, or email at rainmedia.business@gmail.com. You can watch the show on social media at Homeowners TV GH. So you can connect with the Homeowners Show and on social media, comment, share as you like. Now, great shirts are worn by great men with integrity. If you want to wear a shirt like mine, then you got to talk to Sub-Saharan Fashion. Now, that's the philosophy behind Sub-Saharan Fashion brand. At Sub-Saharan Fashion, our choice of fabric is inspired by culture and heritage. The temperament of our clients contribute to the choice of fabric and colors to use. At the end, we create an art piece which is custom made for one person only. If you want to patronize the brand reserved for men with integrity, call or WhatsApp Sami on 0264017512 for your orders, or on social media at Sub-Saharan Fashion. Well, CBC Properties also says that if you want to buy a piece of land, and it's very important that you buy a piece of land because, as Anthony Trollope put it, and I quote, because land provides the highest returns, the greatest values, the least risks, and of course, it's the only thing that cannot fly away. Now is the best time to own a land in Oyarifa, Pram, East Legon Hills, Adenta, Amanfro, Shai Hills, Aimenta, and so on. Call CBC Properties to schedule for a free site visit on 0262-898-686. You can also check them on their website, www.cbcghanalimited.com. Follow CBC Properties on social media at CBC Ghana Limited on Facebook and Twitter, and at CBC Ghana on IG, at CBC Properties also on YouTube, and you can get all the information that you want. Major Enterprise is also the pioneer in innovative building and construction materials with over 20 years of experience in Ghana. We supply notable brands like ERA, George Fisher Hakan Plastics, Pearson, Firat Plastic, EMS Force, Interplast, Bosch Power Tools, Leo Pumps, and many more. And Major is also the sole distributor of cast products in Ghana. You can call Major Enterprise for all your hardware supplies on 0207-672-965 or 0540-573-421. On social media, you can get them at Major Enterprise. Locate Major Enterprise at Spintex, Ecobank at Dogono Road, opposite the Shell filling station. Major Enterprise, if it is not quality, it is not Major. Now, you make sure that you follow them for all your needs in this particular area. Now, the Homeowners Show, once again, is brought to you by kind courtesy of the First National Bank Ghana. First National Bank, how can we help you? Our guest this afternoon is Victor Owusu-Asante, a private legal practitioner, and we have been talking about property tax this day, and we've done a bit of answering of a lot of questions that I'm sure that a lot of you have there. So if you do have some questions, you can send them through WhatsApp, and we'll be glad to forward them to him and see whether he can answer those questions. Well, Victor, before we went for the break, we were talking about the possibility of some waivers for pensioners in paying property rate. I mean, you explained to that effect. But apart from that, are there any exemptions for property taxes or remission of property taxes according to the property law regime in Ghana, for that matter?
Yes, Michael. The law makes provision for exemptions.
Okay.
The first one is that any premises that have been appropriated exclusively for public worship, a public place of worship that had been registered with that particular assembly is exempted. And then secondly, cemeteries and then burial grounds registered with that particular assembly is also exempted. And then charitable or public educational institutions are also exempted.
Okay.
The next is public hospitals and then clinics. They are also exempted from paying property rates. Yes, the final one is the premises that are owned by diplomatic missions. that have been approved. The key word is approved by the minister responsible for foreign affairs. So in the preceding exemptions, the key word is that that particular premises should have been registered with the assembly in question. So if you have a cemetery, a private cemetery or burial ground that you have not registered with the assembly, it means you are liable to pay the property rate. So
well, what makes the difference then? I mean, if I register with you, I mean, whether I register or not, I'm still making money from that property, which is a private cemetery for that matter, or I rent out my building to an embassy or a consulate for that matter. I mean, what really makes the difference here? I'm just trying to wrap my head around it.
So with respect to the premises owned by, that the keyword is owned. So if the premises is being rented, it doesn't apply.
Okay.
So it means the diplomatic mission should have owned that property.
All right.
Yes, so it doesn't apply to rented premises of diplomatic missions.
Okay.
And then to the other leg of the question, I think that the framers of the law wanted the assembly to be notified of that particular premises, because if you don't notify them, they can just come and affix the notice of the rates on your wall. Yeah. So you notify them that, oh, I fall within the exemptions and I'm located within your assembly. So I'm applying for an exemption pursuant to the law. So I think that's the import of this provision. Okay.
Yeah. All right, I've already started getting some questions coming through, and let's see how best we can answer them. Well, this one says, my name is Veronica Sam, watching you from Legon campus. Hello, Mike, please, what's she saying here? Let me try and get it. My question is, how many times does one pay property tax in a year? I'm sure this one is simple enough. I think it's just once in a year.
Yeah, it's once in a year. Yeah, it's paid once in a year.
It's once in a year. So if you have, Veronica, if you have the authorities coming to you more than once, then you should know that probably the one coming the second time, or probably even could be the first, will be a fraud. Maybe he's not coming from the right or the appropriate quarters, because if you have paid, it should reflect in their documents, so this in their records, and so it can't be that you'll be charged again for a second or a third time, possibly in a year. And this one says, good afternoon, Michael. My name is Kofi Kingston inside La Apapa. Good show, but please, the taxes are too much for us now. Well, Kofi Kingston, I'm sorry that it's unfortunate that you find it tax. I mean, everyone is bending over under the weight of taxes. The businesses are crying. I mean, post-COVID and with the depreciation of the CD and so-called dollarization of our economy, I mean, things have become very difficult for business owners generally. So it's quite a tough one. Unfortunately, I don't think that my guest here is the right person really to answer a question like this, but unless he wants to put in a word. But it's unfortunate, but it just happens to be the law. Yeah. And it's the government representatives who probably should be answering your question. But I don't know, Victor, if you want to put in a word here. He says that the taxes they are bending over under the weight of taxes.
Yes, it's very true. It's very true, especially looking at the circumstances of the time. Yeah. It's as I said earlier, it's not pleasant to pay taxes in our part of the world. Yeah, because you have a situation whereby we lack so many basic amenities and stuff like that. So if you are asking citizens to pay taxes, especially in this dollarized economy, as you mentioned earlier, with the rising prices of goods and services, it's not really pleasant at all. But be that as it may, you can also do without taxes. Yeah. Even the advanced countries that we always pride ourselves with, like, oh, they are doing this, they are doing that, their tax to GDP ratio is always higher, far higher than what we are charging there. Fine, of course, there will be excesses in our system. Yeah, maybe corruption and other things, though. But without taxes, we don't have a country. Yeah. Yes, because now we are in a situation whereby we don't generate enough taxes in our country. We don't generate enough taxes, and so very few people are paying taxes in the country. So in as much as paying taxes in this era is not pleasant, we can't also do it. So it's a necessary evil, whether you like it or you don't like it. You
Yeah,
have to
no,
pay
you're
taxes.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
even though we all complain, I mean, we earlier on talking about the government also doing their part of the bargain, amenities and all, providing things like that. But then they also argue that if they don't get enough, they can't do those things. And so then it goes round, the cat's trying to bite its own tail, and then we go around in circles. But then I think that there has to be a balance. I mean, if people pay taxes, there has to be some sort of return. They have to see something. Transparency. I mean, other economies where they even have tax refunds and things like that. I mean, make the people feel that what they are paying, there is something. Otherwise, the few that are burdened with paying taxes then also become reluctant to pay, and then the others who are dodging always find more ways to dodge. But anyway, it is something for the legislators and the leaders to really have in mind. But hey, our phone lines are open: 055-3000-035, 055-3000-035. You can call and join the discussion. So we see some questions coming through on social media platforms and then on WhatsApp, but you can also call in. So the phone lines will be pasted there on the screen. So you can call in and then ask your questions directly. Okay, so let's see this other one. Hello, sir. Hope you are good. I like a show like this, important education we are providing to the public. The thing is that it is not paying the tax on our property, which is a problem, but how the money is used to develop the community. That is my headache. Where I live, I have not seen any developments in ages. Yes, this is exactly what I was talking about. I have similar concerns, and I remember the youth in a particular area that I live went to see, in a particular year, went to see the MP, and probably maybe the MP wasn't the right person to see whether it's the MC or whatever, but you still have oversight of the place. And said, look, our roads have been bad for so long. It's terrible when it rains, it gets bad, this, that. And the answer the person in question gave was terrible. It's just that this place is not part of our priority list. And you see, these are the things that turn people off, and these are the things that make people not loyal and not patriotic enough to do what they have to do. So I agree with you. I mean, there's no name here to this message, but these are some of the things that we are talking about in our part of the world. If we want to see better, what's the word, people paying their taxes a bit more, I think it behoves on the leaders, also authorities, also to make sure they do their part. Yes, Victor, I don't know whether you want to add your voice to that.
Yes. I think it's a two-way affair. Yeah, yes. Because once citizens are burdened with taxes, it's also incumbent on leadership to also do their best to improve the standard of living of the people. Yeah. If you are paying, the peculiar nature about property rates or property taxes is that it's supposed to be used within that locality. So if after paying all these rates and you don't see any major improvements in the life of the locality, then it means there's a problem. So it's a two-way affair, yeah. In as much as I'm advocating that paying taxes is a necessary evil, leadership should also make it a point to show the developments they are using the taxes for in their locality.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. For instance, if you live in maybe Ayawaso West Wagon, and then maybe East Legon, and then you pay a huge property rate and you don't see any developments in that locality, that means there's a problem. Yeah.
Where exactly, especially where the residents themselves have to come together to do a lot of things.
To construct roads and then sometimes
then it becomes a problem.
Yes,
so
that's
otherwise you're not going to see an improvement in the compliance rate.
Exactly.
You know. So yeah. So let's see if we have some other messages. And this is from Kwame is it Ampam or Ampa, watching from Koforidua Old Estate. This one is Kwame is angry. He says, well, useless tax policy that we have to scrap now because it does not serve any purpose. Well, I'm sure you're talking out of anger, and we understand that, but there is a particular use for some tax like this, and if it's used for the right things, I mean, we should all be happy and ready to pay. I see another one coming, and it says that the most important question on the lips of many Ghanaians is, what is the use, or what do they use these taxes for? Can you share a few with us? Well, I cannot educate you on that. I'm sure that the framers of the law and the authorities, the collecting, receiving authorities will be able to do a better job.
Yes,
but I'm sure the lawyer can give us maybe one or two things that your taxes are used for. At least he mentioned that for property rates specifically, which we're talking about this afternoon, it's supposed to be used by the MC for that locality, that community, that vicinity. And so it's for amenities in that particular area. But taxes generally are used, different sort of taxes are used for different kinds of things. But Victor, I'm sure that you can bail me out here.
Yes. So generally, taxes are used to as it were, stabilize the economy. Yes, because if your economy is in tatters or is struggling, definitely you need taxes to kind of stabilize the economy. For instance, in instances of unemployment, the corporate taxes in a country could be reduced so that the factories or the industries can expand and employ more people. Yes, and also taxes generally are also used to redistribute the wealth or income of the people in the country. Yes, because Ghana operates what we call a progressive tax system. Yes, progressive means that the more you earn, the more you pay. So if you earn 10,000, you're going to pay more than the person who earns, let's say, 100 cedis. Yes. So yes, so these are some of the and also taxes are also used to reduce our balance of payment deficits. Yes, because if taxes are imposed on imported products, high taxes are imposed on imported products, definitely it will reduce imports and, as it were, increase exports. Yeah. Yes, so as to correct our balance of payments deficits, because that's the bane of our country. Everything we consume in this country is imported, virtually everything. Yeah, I'm sure about 99% or 98% is imported. So if you have a situation whereby all these imported products are competitive enough on the market, then definitely the imports are going to continue.
You're right.
Yes, because they are cheaper.
Yeah. I think we have our first call on the line this afternoon. Prince from K2 North, I believe. Prince, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, Prince, I can hear you. Can you go ahead with your question? Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
I'm talking about property rates.
Yes, please, go ahead.
I've received a letter for the first time of paying property rate with arrears. That's what I don't understand.
Oh, this is the first time you're receiving the notice, but then they are stating that you are in arrears.
Yes.
Okay.
Since they came to put the number there, about 1.5 years, I've never heard from them. And I never even knew that it was property rate case. Okay. So last week, I received a message on my telephone for paying property rate. And it came with arrears, 200 cedis.
Yeah. I'm just wondering how long the property has been there.
I don't remember the date they put it there. But it is not, even if it is more than 2 years, at least as I've received a letter for the first time of property rate, but not to come with arrears for the first time.
I get you. I think that is something that you should take up with the assembly.
Yes.
And probably go to and I'm sure that the notice must have some phone numbers on it as well. So you could call and probably find your way to the assembly, and you should be able to thrash this out. And if this has come with arrears, they probably must be able to also give you some flexible way of paying it, because at the end of the day, they want to generate income. So they have to make it easy on the payer as well. So you should take it up with the assembly. That would be my advice to you, sir. All right. Thank you very much, Prince. We are hoping that we get a few more calls. We have just a few more minutes to wrap up the conversation here. But I have another text message Okay, I think I have Enoch from Accra. I don't know whether it's the same person because I had a question coming through from one Enoch David from Accra. Well, Enoch, you're on the line.
All right. Michael, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Enoch. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Thanks for having me. I must say I've enjoyed the discussion so far from lawyer Owusu. My question to him has to do with whether property rates are still being taken by the Assembly or by GRA.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm sure you are the same person that sent the message. I was just about to ask your question. Thank you very much for your question. Let me just ask lawyer whether he has any idea about that. He's asking whether it's the assemblies that are still mandated to take the property rate or it's the GRA. I mean, we've seen some changes in the system in recent times, so probably maybe Enoch has a reason for asking this question.
Yes, Michael, as I mentioned earlier, when it comes to property rates, the law, which is the Local Governance Act of 2016, Act 936, mandates the Assembly as the only rating authority. So they only have the power to collect property rates. When it comes to GRA collects what we call rent tax. Rent tax. That is different from property rates.
Okay.
Yes, so the distinction must be made clear.
Rent tax?
Yes,
and
rent
property
tax.
rate.
Yes, rent tax is different from property rate.
Okay.
Property rate is within the remit of the assemblies.
Okay.
Pursuant to the Local Governance Act. Yes. Rent tax is taken by GRA, pursuant to the Income Tax Act of Ghana. So there are two separate laws. Each giving each authority what they can take and what they cannot take. Yes. So property rate is solely within the ambit of the assemblies.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Enoch, I'm sure that answers your question, but we have a call, I believe, from Botiano. This must be our last caller for today as we end the end of the program. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, thank you very much. Your name, please. You're calling from Botiano, I believe.
Yes, please. My name is Bonsu.
Bonsu, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, Michael, it's been a very long time.
Yes, it's been a long time.
I saw it was on GTV.
Yes, it's been a while.
Very, very long time, yeah.
Yes.
And you have a new look now. It's very sexy.
Yes, I do have a new look. Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
I just have a question for the officer. I want to find out if, the criteria, okay, for preparing your bill, okay, because it looks as if it's negotiable. Is it negotiable? Because when the officers bring the bill and you kind of complain whether it's too high, I think they kind of, appear as if there's a way of reducing it for you. So I wanted to find out the criteria that they use in preparing your bill, that's your property rate bill, and then if it is negotiable. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. I think that he went through that much earlier, but probably for your sake, he would just want to rush through again. Yes, before we move on. Yes.
Yes, so the criteria for determining the property rates, as I mentioned earlier, first and foremost is the determination of what we call the rateable value. The rateable value is done via assessment from a valuer from Lands Commission. So when the valuer from Lands Commission does this assessment, he then gives it to the assembly in question, and the assembly will calculate what we call impost. The impost is a Ghana cedi denominated figure expressed in decimal. So then this impost is multiplied by the rateable value to get the property rate. And also, you have to take cognizance of the fact that in determination of the rateable value, the valuer will take into account the location of the property.
Okay.
So it could even be that within the same assembly, maybe a property located in Ayawaso West Wogon, the same municipality. One is located at Baaleshi. One is located at Abelempi, or one is located at East Legon. You don't expect...
I'm very sorry, but we've just been cued that we've run out of time. Unfortunately, we're not able to...